I'm here to talk about art and the internet, so here we go. So basically, yep, my name is Sam Madhu. I'm a contemporary digital artist based in Mumbai. And I really want to show you guys a bit of my work and kind of show you how I use social media and the internet to accelerate my career growth in the creative industry. And I think the theme, shadow to spotlight, is so cool. It's so relevant today, especially if you're a young creative person trying to grow a platform in the digital infrastructure. You have all these amazing tools at your disposal, and it's really such a great time to like leverage the internet and really gain a little momentum of your own. So I want to show you guys some of my work. So when people kind of ask me what I do, I never have a concrete answer because I just am interested in so many different things. It's hard for me to just call myself one thing because I like to, work on illustrations. I like to animate. I work on music videos, on building sets, on stage design, art direction projects. So it's really, I can't really define myself as one thing, and I don't think anyone today should kind of restrict themselves to like one profession or one stream, because we really have access to so many things today, and I don't think anyone is restricted by choice anymore. And I think that, especially if you're creative, a way for you to just keep getting better is to keep trying new things and to keep learning and to keep challenging yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I basically can never make up my mind, and that's why I just call myself a contemporary digital artist. So this is just an umbrella term, and I kind of just use this phrase to define myself, because and kind of let people know that I get my feet wet in like every field. Um, and I think that sorry, I just totally hiccuped. I think that my work is contemporary in the sense that it kind of reflects what's happening in the present, but it also draws from the past, and it conceptualizes the future. So I'm kind of spanning across time lapses and culture and kind of really trying to build a contemporary world. And my audience is really digital, and almost everything I do kind of lives in the cloud. So I really don't consider myself like someone who would show their work in fine art galleries. I'm very much a person of the internet. So that is really my bread and butter. So this is some of my work. So my vibe is all about kind of taking really traditional Indian aesthetics and remixing them with futuristic things. So over here, I've taken these really old paintings by Raja Ravi Varma, and I've kind of infused them with elements from Blade Runner and science fiction and cyberpunk culture. So you can see people wearing like virtual reality headsets with neon wires, and they're flickering like holograms and things like that. So this is just like a series of explorations that I did were a bit humorous and kind of like an ode to what's happening on the internet right now as well. So this was an installation that I built in Goa for an audiovisual collaboration. Basically, this is a goddess, and she's 20 feet tall. So my idea was to take something like a very traditional goddess and kind of render her in a futuristic format. So as you can see here, she has circuit boards all over her body. She's 20 feet tall. She's wearing a VR headset, and people are like standing under her. So the idea was to take something quite traditional and make it very like science fiction-y. And so the newest work that I'm making is all about Mumbai, which is the city I live in. And I really like to climb up on my roof and climb water tanks and kind of just survey the whole city and take inspiration from all the buildings and the wires and the satellite dishes and all the chaos. And kind of remix that with things that are very Indian, like, symbols of worship and statues and idols and things like that. So over here, I've kind of taken this big city and remix it with something that could be like, spiritual. And so my idea is again to like remix urban planning with something that is from the past. And yeah, so I think that's kind of what my work is all about. It's just about like mixing and mashing things and then just finding out ways to like challenge norms and maybe step into territories that are a bit touchy, but at the same time like kind of gain a different perspective from whoever sees it, because whoever I want whoever you are to, if you look at my work, I want you to kind of form your own interpretations about it. And we're also different, especially in India, so that's something that I really think about. So now that you've seen some of my work, I really want to talk about how I started my whole internet art journey. So back was when I was in 8th grade, I would um, spend a lot of time online because I just felt very uninspired by my surroundings. I was born and raised in Chennai, and I felt like the art classes I was taking in school and the fine art I was seeing in Chennai was just really not challenging me and kind of pandering to my interests. Because I was learning how to, paint still life and like sunflowers and vases and things like that. And I was just like, wow, this is so boring and dry. I really want to see what else is out there. So I began, obsessively spending a lot of time online and, using sites like DeviantArt and like these online drawing boards, and I began making friends with like young artists all over the world, and we just had this little family online, like these creative communities where we kind of would make art and share it with each other and critique each other and just get better and better. If one of us was kind of making art that someone else was interested in, we'd share what softwares we were using, and then we would go and teach ourselves how to use things on YouTube. So it really became like this little ecosystem of self-learning, and kind of like it just taught us how to be really self-sufficient, and it really, really, really opened up this world for me that was so much bigger than Chennai. Because I had friends from Norway and China and like all these places, and they were just like at my fingertips. Like I had access to these people, and it was just such a disruption from what was happening in my everyday school life, where I was, painting vases and like drawing like still life paintings. So at the time, like, my parents, they saw that I was really interested in of what was happening online, so they were really kind enough and they bought me this tiny little Wacom bamboo tablet, and that was the beginning of like this whole thing for me. I would come back home from school every day, sit in my uniform, and then just draw and draw and draw and draw, like on Photoshop and all these softwares on my computer. And I think before I knew it, I just was like, okay, this is my life now. And I think this is such a, like, I think your first drawing tablet for any digital artist is so emotional. And like looking back now, like I could never use it. It's just so like it's not that good. But um, I think starting off small and then really just going through the hardships of your hardware and your software is something that it really like helps build, like it helps you like build an endurance for like just working on things on a screen for a long time, especially with brands and things like that. So this is something that's really interesting. I don't know if people today like even know what this is, but this is a paint chat or a P chat. And this is basically this giant canvas chat room where you can log on and kind of draw with other people. So I would log on to these, and it would just be a bunch of people like logged on, and we'd all be drawing together. And in the beginning, it would start off as something that looked really weird and no one knew what was happening. But by the end of it, it was like this really cool digital mural. And, everyone like had kind of put their own styles and techniques and brushstrokes into it. And it was really, really like so excellent to see the finished product. And I think this is like something that's kind of been lost with the internet as we've all moved into, apps and things like that. But I think, collaboration, and especially on the cloud, is such an interesting place to be. And so fast forward a few years, I am, living and working in New York. I had just graduated from art school, and basically I had just kind of gotten a job as a junior graphic designer at this PR company. And I felt like that job was just so dry and so boring because they wouldn't let me do anything except design newsletters and use just 2 colors and maybe one font family. So I didn't have like I wanted to be an octopus and just do everything, but they just said no. You like I wasn't really allowed to explore. So that job was like really kind of absorbing my soul energy, and it was making me a little sad. And I kind of drew this little this little cartoon when I was at the office one day, and it's basically me looking into the screen, having an existential crisis. And and at the time, I was spending a lot of time on Instagram, and I was following a lot of other artists like illustrators and graphic designers, and even people who make like special memes. I think memes are art. So even people like that, I was just following all these people and seeing what they were doing. And I was realizing like, okay, Instagram is the new deviant art. Like there is a community out there, and there's so much talent on Instagram. It's not just you know, acai bowls and coconut water and like beach pictures. It's really becoming like a hub for art. So I really began like kind of documenting people that were inspiring me, and I decided to kind of give this a shot. And then I looked at all these people and I noticed that the one thing that they had in common was consistency. All these guys were posting something every day. They were posting art every day. They were making sure that their followers were very engaged, very interested to see what they had to offer every day. And they were doing challenges like hashtag Inktober and hashtag 30 days of type and 100 days of drawing. Like there were lots of internet challenges that you could kind of take upon yourself to like get better progressively. So these guys were all kind of involved in that, and that really interested me. And I kind of decided, I sat myself down and I set some goals for myself. I said, okay, you need an escape from your dry job. You need to just do this for yourself. So I told myself that every day I'm going to come back home from work and I'm going to make one piece of art and I'm going to post it. It doesn't have to be perfect. The lines don't have to be perfect. The colors don't have to be perfect. But I just have to get a clever idea out into the world every day. So I began doing this. I began coming home every day, drawing something, posting it every day. And after a little while, my feed began to look kind of like a cool, trippy artist's feed, and it became an art Instagram just by doing this one small thing every day. So, and I started looking at it, and I was like, oh, I have like a little portfolio going on. This is cool. And I had, I kind of used the colors I like. I was able to come up with my own aesthetics. And it was just the start of something that was just such an escape from everything else. And I think during this time, and the next goal that I'd set for myself was that I really wanted to um, have a style that was really unique to me and something that really set me apart from everyone else. And I began thinking, like, what can I offer that no one else can offer? And I think it struck me that it's what I can offer is myself, my experiences, my past, my memories, my roots, my traditions, and all that, everything that makes me who I am. So I decided to kind of infuse my, Indian background and kind of remix it with pop culture, with streetwear, with street culture, and all the things that were happening globally that were pushing the youth forward. So I began making things like this. I began making like cool brown girls wearing Supreme shirts, um, you know, brides with neon pink hair and tattoos, not acting like they are supposed to act, and girls wearing Gandhi money earrings and things like that. And then one day I made this piece. And so this piece is basically a woman looking into the mirror, and there's Kali looking back at her. And I always was obsessed with Kali. I was like, wow, she looks so cool. I really want to use her a lot in my work because she's so special and no other culture has Kali. So I kind of made this drawing, and it wasn't something I thought about super deeply. I just wanted to make something that was like, I don't think, like, I think good art doesn't need to be explained heavily. It can just, kind of just, you just get it when you look at it. So I wanted to make something that everyone could relate to, but also bring my own vibe into the mix. So this is what I came up with, and I drew it, and I went to bed. And then the next morning, I woke up and I noticed that my followers had gone from 800 to 3,000 overnight. And I was so confused. I thought there was a glitch in the system, and I just kept refreshing, and I was not sure what was happening. And then my eyes were just glued to my phone the whole day while I was at my terrible job. And I just kept refreshing, and it just wouldn't stop. Like the likes, the follows, and the shares, it just wouldn't stop. And then by the end of the day, it was 15,000 followers from 800 the previous day. Like less than 24 hours, that had happened. All my friends were calling me. They were like, "Are you okay? What's happening?" And I think I was really shocked, but more than anything, I felt like all those years of drawing on the Wacom bamboo and DeviantArt and posting and and like just drawing in my classroom and getting kicked out of the class by my teachers, like everything just worked out in that moment. And I think this drawing is kind of the reason why I'm a full-time artist today, because even today people, I make all this new work and they still ask me for this one, they still ask me for prints of this one. So I think that this piece really like opened up a lot of doors for me, and today I'm able to kind of leverage my following and my platform to just be a full-time artist and work with brands and do so many things that just go beyond illustration, which is what I started out from. So yeah, I really think that the internet is such a great tool for you to kind of do your own thing and really just build your own following, gain your own momentum, and kind of carve out a life path for yourself that no one can, where no one can really like tell you what to do. It's yours, it's your story. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I just wanted to share my story with you guys, but I think I want to kind of end with saying that use the internet as well as you can, but don't get like super caught up and super obsessed in like growing your followers, because really quality is so much more important than quantity. Someone with 3,000 followers, who has journalists and promoters and people working in fashion or whatever following them, those people are more successful than some internet celebrity with 1 million followers who is just known on the cloud. I think it's really important to have a balance between your online and offline life. Wherever you live, network, go to events, meet people, and then kind of balance that with your online life. And definitely, don't always compare yourself to people, because that's something I did. Don't always like look at your phone and be like, oh, she's doing this, he's doing this, because you're never going to be happy if you're constantly comparing yourself to everyone else, especially if you're a creative person. That is our biggest flaw. We all do that. And I think the most important takeaway is like never forget to have fun, because I think if you're a creative person, you are kind of doing things because you're passionate about them and because you love to do them. And that should be the core of everything else that happens around you. If you kind of are obsessing about your Instagram and ways to monetize, you kind of lose the fun of making things, which should be what it's all about. So yeah, keep having fun, keep making things, keep learning and challenging yourself, and never stop being a student. Thank you guys so much.